Lord, I hope. Wait a minute. I got to make sure that I am connected, y'all. Hey, good afternoon. I am Misbehaving, and the name of this channel is Misbehaving is Fun, where I talk about real people, real problems, and real drama. And hey, we got beef in these YouTube streets. So, according to Melody Shari Rodgers, baby, I am the clout. But see, baby, what I want to tell you, a queen stands alone. Only cowards run in pack. Roger that. Roger that. Hey, butterfly. And that's on Mary Had a Little Lamb. I know that's right, boo. I know that's right. Hey, Sugar Brown. So, hey, y'all hit the like button. Hit dislike if you don't like it. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And just double check that you're subscribed because YouTube is a little shady, baby. YouTube is a little shady because even folks that I like that I'm subscribed to, baby, oftentimes I'm finding that I'm unsubscribed and I'm not receiving any notification. Okay, okay. Well, baby, I like that little video. I like that little video that was circulating where Melody is sending these subliminals. Baby, I'm with it. I'm with it. But let me tell you something, Lauren, baby. Now Melody said that you are from Chicago. Now how you gonna let Melody use you as a crash test dummy? But I like that name, baby. I like that little phrase you said, blessed and behaving. I know that's right, blessed and behaving. Now, I'm going to start some misbehaving, but I won't be too bad because today is Sunday. So I know a lot of you have gotten out of church. You probably sitting over there at the Golden Corral, or you on your way home, or some of you in the kitchen cooking Sunday dinner. And to the young folks, I know some of them don't even know how to cook, baby. They going through a drive-through. They probably breaking down because Chick-fil-A closed. Okay? Okay. Hey, I see some repeat visitors. Hello. Can't sleep. 1 second. Oh, shoot. Because, baby, I'm a mother and a grandmother. And this weekend, I got my grandbaby, baby. He running all up in here. I got to tell him, baby, you got to get up out of here. I'm doing a show. Hey, let me highlight y'all. Let me highlight y'all. Thank you, each and everybody. Did I put Ken's big sisters back? We have I Can't Sleep. I like that name. Oh shucks, what's up? Speak with your girl Marcella. What's up? I guess I am officially uh 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 a T Squad affiliate. I'm not a member because I roll solo dolo. But baby, it looked like T Squad needs some help because it ain't very many of you out there speaking up and speaking out, baby. Because I'm calling it out, but I will be fair. So if I see some folks doing stuff that they not supposed to do, baby, I will call it out. Now I sent a shout out to Miss Show Enough, Miss Wanda, because I really would like to have her up on my panel so I can interview her if she don't mind. If she don't mind. Hey, Miss Real Talk with Lady D. Well, honey, yesterday them boys wore me out. I'm telling you, running after young kids after 50 ain't the same like when you in your 20s. Okay, hallelujah, hallelujah. Shout out VS. That's where I got that from. Hello and welcome, Grandma Mochi. Is it Mochi or Moki? Hi, y'all. That's what Grandma Mochi said. Hi, y'all. Okay. What you say, Marcella? What you say? But I got your back. Speak your opinions and I respect it. That's right. That's right. Mi gente, la familia. ¿Qué está haciendo? Hey, Marcella, if you want to confuse them, put it in the chat in Spanish. I'll catch it. I'll catch it. Thanks to growing up in California, baby. Being in California, baby, knowing how to speak Spanish is a must have. It's a must have so that you can compete and you can understand. I used to be a bus driver many years ago, school bus driver. And baby, I worked for a school district that was for like maybe 99. I mean, it was about 99% Hispanic Latinos. And then we had a large migrant population, seasonal workers. Parents don't know any English. So as a school bus driver, um, I had became a behind the wheel trainer. And so if we were short school bus drivers, I would have to drive that bus driver's route. So we have a pre-printed bus route that we had to follow. So I'm following, but oftentimes bus drivers they would revise the route because they know how to get to the school and back to transportation sooner, but they don't let us know to update it because a lot of them like to milk the clock. So, baby, imagine in this district, as far as employees, I was the youngest African American bus driver, and I was only, let's see, it was me, Miss So and so, her. And so it was four African Americans that worked for this school district, three females and one male. And the male, his wife was Latina, and she was a teacher. And so the other two had worked for the school district for years, and I was new. I was really young. But baby, I'm driving that bus, and I guess I didn't bust that U-turn like that little baby was used to. Baby, he hopped up out of his seat. They were kindergartners. Baby, he hopped up out of that seat and ran to that daggone bus door, and I had to pull over. I said, "Auto, auto, muévete para atrás, siéntese, siéntese, mijo." Baby, that baby was scared. He was crying. He was screaming. Honey, the radio, and I called transportation. I said, "Hey, I need somebody to call." I said, hold on just a second. I said, because the baby is fighting, he's screaming, he's crying. So I opened up the door and I blocked the doorway so the little child couldn't get out. And I saw his mother out because the mothers, they wait, put the kids on the bus. But I know they were wondering what happened because the bus stopped. So I said, Señora, ven aquí, por favor, tu hijo. So I said, ayúdame, por favor, ayúdame, señora. So she comes running, and baby, she talking a mile a minute in Spanish. Now I speak some Spanish. I got really rusty after I left California, but baby, that Spanglish that I speak ain't nothing like no authentic Spanish from Mexico. Okay, okay, baby. So can you imagine as a mother, your child is screaming and crying, and she's trying to ask her baby what's going on, and he's not talking, and she can't speak English, and I'm telling her he's okay. I said, "Hijo, bueno, bueno." And honey, I got on the radio and I said, speak to her in Spanish and let her know what happened. So the dispatcher talked to her in Spanish. And honey, that's how we found out that the bus driver normally, instead of her continuing to drive straight, she would back up, make a U turn, and go the other way. So that is my experience. So I've learned how to speak Spanish from um, coworkers, my environment, but I also took Spanish in college and I got really good. So good, in fact, that when I applied for a job with the state of Illinois down at the Randolph building, they at that time you could take this test, this Spanish test. Well, I had got a job where I could work at the welfare department. So while working there, they needed more uh, interpreters. So a couple of my coworkers that were Spanish speaking, they were like, Belita. So I just doxed myself again, but hey, I've already was threatened. So they said, go take the paper, go take the test, and so you'll get paid additional money. And I was like, oh, really? They were like, yeah. So it worked. Now, when I came to the South, they need people that know how to speak Spanish. but baby, they ain't paying no extra money. So the only time I speak Spanish is if I have to when I'm dealing with the patients. But when anybody else call me to come over to translate, I tell them I'm not certified. I'm not being paid, and that's not in my job description. Okay, okay. hmm But anyway, what y'all was coming here for? What y'all was coming here for? Let me give that to Miss Lauren. Lauren, you let Melody Cherie use you as a crash test dummy, and then she gonna take you after you gonna say blessed and behaving, and then she gonna take you, put you front and center in front of them in the camera, and you up here smiling and laughing. And baby girl, I know you beautiful, but baby, Melody was wrong for that, baby, because all I saw was gums. I don't know if it was overgrown gums or they were too big veneers, but Melody was shady for that, baby. Melody was shady for that. And with you being from Chicago, you got to stay tip topping on your game. Don't let nobody play you. Now, I don't know. You must be from the suburbs of Chicago because you ain't from Chicago, Chicago, are you? You ain't from like the south side or the west side. I mean, I don't know how they get down on the west side of Chicago, but I know how they get down on the south side because, baby, you must have grown up in the outskirts of Chicago. Okay, okay. So, hold on, let me get to a couple of comments. Hey, Miss Linda Young. Hey, Miss Linda Young. Another Chi-Town native. Chi-Town native. All right now. We got Chicago in here. I know it's some millimeters hanging in the sky. I know you are. I don't hate you. I don't hate you. Because all millimeters are not created the same. All millimeters are not bad, but y'all got that rogue, unhinged bunch up in the group that's messing it up for everybody. And then since I was made aware, baby, I don't know where I was at, but I was made aware that Melody says she ain't wrangling nobody in. Well, baby, ain't nobody tell you to dismantle those cult members. I just said distance yourself and just make a statement that you don't agree with that behavior. But since everything's a go, well, baby, you know what it is. We beefing for dollars. We are beefing for dollars. Hold on, wait a minute. I see somebody, Grandma Moki, misbehaving. Are you a March or April Aries, baby? Baby, I'm the best kind. April Aries. I'm an authentic Aries, baby. That's what I am. And people, again, that is me self-doxing myself. So when the hater does their background check and put out my information, it's gonna be old news to y'all. Ain't nothing in my background that they could tell y'all that's gonna embarrass me. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm saying? Baby, I'm like Terrence Howard. Shit, I owe taxes. Oh, yes, I do. I owe taxes. I need my reparations too, goddamn it. I need my reparations too. Because while COVID was going on, and I got to be on the front lines at the hospital, and I'm crying and taking care of patients because I'm seeing it. Healthcare was already hell before COVID. Hell, it got even worse during COVID. So, baby, while folks was getting to stay home, they got that. What was that? You guys got that little healthcare. I mean, not healthcare, but you guys got that money, hazard pay, and whatever that little free money the government was giving y'all. But they said if you had to make under $75,000 in order to get it. I couldn't get it. Baby, I haven't gotten a tax refund. Hell, I can't remember. It's been so long. I've had to pay back taxes. I had to pay back taxes. Do you understand what I'm saying? That I need my reparations, or I need a sugar daddy. I need a sugar daddy that don't like to have sex. Hallelujah. But he like good food. Okay. I might give him a little sloppy toppy, but I ain't nobody trying to have no old man all up on them. Old men have worms, baby. Old men have worms, and young men ain't worth nothing. Understand what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying? Oh, wait a minute. I see a repeat visitor. Lumenta Lock. Hello, hello. I love Nell. She's a goddess like myself. Well, that's fine that you love Nell, ain't it? That's okay. Ain't no hate. Ain't nobody hating but the devil. You understand what I'm saying? But you guys have to be open to critique, criticism, and opinions. Cause all I'm doing, baby, I'm just following the blueprint, the millimeter blueprint, baby. I'm just reporting on what I seen, what I heard, what I saw. And ain't nobody gonna change that, baby. Ain't nobody gonna change that. No matter how many times y'all get to talking about somebody trying to tear her down, we are jealous. We are a pick me. Yes, baby, pick me. Pick me, baby. Pick me. Okay? But hey, you are entitled to your opinions. I don't begrudge you. As adults, we should be able to like whomever we want to like and peacefully disagree. But thank you for coming to represent for Melody Shari Rodgers. But now I have to unhighlight you, okay? I have to unhighlight you. Oh, well, you know what? You know what, Grandma? You know what, Grandma? You a March Aries. That's all right. It's all love still. It's still Aries. It's still Aries Nation, baby. It's Aries season. Y'all get ready because y'all know what that means. We got you. You got to come with us, right? Because we're loyal. We're passionate, we're competitive, but baby, when you rile up that fire, baby, it's no holds bar. It's all gas, no brakes. Do you hear what I'm saying? All gas, no brakes. Hell, one of them Melometers that's 61 years old, honey, she had left a comment, let me know her age, and she told me, bitch, I'll put a chair upside your head. Baby, I couldn't do nothing but laugh and giggle. My daughter, she said, Mommy, she said, how old are these people? And when I told her, she said, oh my God, imagine another senior citizen, senior citizen on senior citizen crime. I said, I'm not at senior citizen yet. I said, but honey, most folks don't even get to this age. Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, country girl. See, because I didn't get one, I couldn't remember what it was, baby. Stimulus check. Man, I'm mad I ain't even get no stimulus check. You know what I'm saying? It should have been mandatory that healthcare workers on the front line got them a stimulus check too, or at least had all our student loans paid off, paid off in full. We couldn't get nothing. I mean, and I'm telling y'all, I ain't who. All nurses are not created equal. All nurses and medical staff in general are not created equal, meaning their critical thinking skills, their ability to get the job done, how to assess a situation. So we had some uh delayed nurses before Coviana. Baby, during Coviana, it was even worse. It was hell to see. It was hell to see. It was hell, not even the nurses, some of the doctors, okay? I don't know. Well, let me not go there. Let me not go there. Let's see. What you talking about? Ken's big sis? Okay. All right, let me get off here. That's a private conversation. So anyway, what's going on, y'all? What's going on? Marcel, I heard you had to give an apology. I heard you had to give an apology. That was nice. I can respect that person like that can admit when they've made a wrong, done something wrong. And then I heard Miss Wanda supposedly gave out some information. I don't know what information she gave out. Miss Wanda ain't cussed nobody out. And then, ha ha, did y'all watch my video? Didn't I tell y'all in my video before that announcement that Black was open? I told y'all the gag is it'd be funny if it's open and they only closed it to pull the wool over y'all eyes because they know y'all would run rampant on these YouTube streets spreading rumors. Rumors with no regard. Uh-huh, yeah. I'm in tax debt, baby, yeah. hmm But I know that was some low shade, but that's all right, because you know why? I'm still here. I might be black and I might owe taxes, but thank God I'm here. You understand what I'm saying? So let's see. We have it had All right. Ah. Okay. 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 Miss Locke, you saw a cold-blooded woman who is the bomb, like myself. High like me. You are funny. All right then. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome. We got some cloud watchers. Don't be scared. Come prepared. Drop on down if you dare. They're not gonna block you out the Melometer Nation. They ain't gonna do that. You just come on down in the comment like Miss Locke is doing. Miss Locke came on in and she represented. She represented. And Miss Linda even been in the chat. I know Miss Linda is a Melometer. I know she is. Uh-oh, Davita Jane, place peace and blessings, peace and blessings. What's up? Happy Sunday. That's right. That's right. It's a happy Sunday. It's a happy Sunday. And it's a lot going on. So Lady D, real talk with Lady D. Are you still going live at 405? Are you still going live at 405 with your story about Silas White? Oh, Miss Linda, I am so sorry. Then I must have gotten you mixed up with another Linda. There's another Linda. Her name, oh, you know what? Her name is Ms. Linda. MZ. Oh my God. Okay. Well, yeah, we don't hate her. We just calling it out. Hell, has anybody seen Martell? Ain't nobody seen Martell, heard from Martell? Ain't nobody seen him? Have you seen him? Tell me, have you seen him? Oh, they said he got that Mass D. That's why she can't let him be free. Have you seen him? Tell me, have you seen him? Melody, I know you can't let that thing go, but don't go back, girl, because he had you messed up for some years. He had you messed up from some years. Don't go back. See, that's that thing about that toxic dangling, baby. Once you break free, don't you go back. You might have withdrawals in the beginning. Honey, once you break free, don't go back. But I don't know why you won't tell them Melometers to keep his name out your mouth, out their mouth, and to leave the cast alone. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And I know Latisha, she's nice and quiet, but Tisha, don't be afraid. I got your back. You need to start standing up to these Melometers and talking back to them. You tell let them know still waters run deep. Still waters run deep. Oh, okay, Miss Locke. I promise that was no low shade. I don't do shade. It's not my nature. I would not be able to live with myself if I threw shade. I really think no woman should ever have debt. It don't make no sense. Yeah, and part of it is I've shared this story with some people that I come from a rough background. When I stayed with my mother, my mother pushed education, education. You had to make an A in school. You could not come home with anything less than an A. My mother was a neat freak. That house had to be spotless every Saturday. Now, this is in the projects. Cement walls now, mind you. Every Saturday she would make us get up and we would have to wash the walls. And we were little girls. When we mopped the floors through the apartment, we lived in apartment 508 in the Ickies, on 23rd and State Street in Chicago, Illinois. And so every Saturday we had to wash the walls by hand with a rag. And my mother had this little hand brush, wooden brush, and we would have to scrub the floor and then take a rag, wipe it up, everything off the floor when we washed dishes. So when we went out to California when I was 10 and we had to clean the kitchen, my grandmother would brag to all her girlfriends. They would come over to the house. My My grandmother, she's from the South, she's from Texas. And so she would have her girlfriends over. They'd have the fish fries and they all playing blues and stuff. And then we'd have to clean the kitchen. And I heard them one day they were bragging. She said, yeah, my granddaughters, they clean like grown women. They clean like grown women. But see, that's how my mother raised us. So that was the environment in Chicago. Now I'm in California with my grandmother, and it was a rough upbringing. It was something totally different. Of course, if you're from Chicago and if you've had the opportunity to travel, you know that the makeup of people is vastly different. So imagine a little girl growing up in the projects in Chicago surrounded by all black people to now go to California, and I'm not seeing very many black people. Although they have projects in California, the projects don't look like the projects in Chicago. Now, I've never lived in the projects when I was in California. We've always lived in a house, but it was neighborhoods that were predominantly like Latino and black. But then when my grandmother moved, it was like Latino, white, and black. Then when my grandmother moved us to another part of California, it was like so many white people. I had never seen so many white people in my life. The next population were Latinos, Hispanics, and then there were very few black people, African Americans in that region, and the people that were there, they were all related some sort of way. So it was weird. It was weird. So in that area, people interracially dated or married because all of the black people were related some kind of way. My family was the only family in that area that wasn't related to anyone. And I was a tomboy. I like to read books all the time, say to myself, oftentimes, if I got bored at school, like I would get all A's. The work didn't seem hard to me the first semester, but by the second semester, I'm bored. So I'm not challenged. So I used to ditch my classes and go into the library, the school library, and read books. Nobody had ever called my grandmother to let her know I had been ditching or anything. And one day, one of my teachers for the typing, do y'all remember when we used to take typing in school? Do the little typewriter, tick, 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 ding. So anyway, my typing teacher, he came into the library and he saw me and he said, Haven, you've been in here this entire time? I said, yes, sir. He said, so when you're not showing up to class, you're here in the library? I said, yes, sir. So a point I also want to make, isn't that something? I'm ditching. Nobody, not the librarian, nobody ever paid attention to a little black girl sitting in the school library, not going to class each time the bell rang to go to your next class. So anyway, my teacher found me in the library. After that discussion, he took me to the school principal. They did not suspend me, and the only reason they didn't suspend me is because I wasn't ditching school to go have fun. I was ditching school in the library reading, and the principal wanted to know why. And I said, because I'm bored, because the work never challenged me. Um, I know growing up in California, you want to be around people that look like you. I remember back when I was younger, there was this thing where, people would say you're trying to be white if the way you spoke or if you're getting good grades. And a lot of times, a lot of the classes that I was in, people that lived in my neighborhood weren't in those classes, like algebra, geometry, English 3. They weren't in there. So I always felt alone. So I would purposely dumb myself down and not do the work so I can get put in the easier classes so I could be with my friends. So I look at that with the kids today, even the younger ones. And I always tell people, like, don't yell at your kids, find out. They might not be challenged, they might not be stimulated. Because I know back, and I'm finna go backwards for a moment. I remember I went to this elementary school in Chicago behind the projects. I know they had Big Haynes and Little Haynes. In our schools, you have to walk up under this little bridge, and we're in Chinatown, but that's where the school was. And I was in the third grade. And I took some sort of test, whatever it was. They wanted to push me forward to the fifth grade, but my mother wouldn't allow them to put me in the fifth grade. She wanted me to stay back in the third grade. So, I used to always wonder, like, because I'm not challenged in school, is it because I often think about that. But growing up in California was vastly different than growing up in Chicago. Although I lived in the projects with my mother worked every day and she pushed education. Education was important and in cleanliness. When we get to California, education wasn't pushed. It wasn't talked about. It was about making money, fast life, keep a clean house, dress nice, So a lot of times, most of us, even if you do survive growing up in impoverished neighborhood and you're able to go forward and get an education and do better, if you don't have financial literacy or ways to knowing how to save money, um, you know, you're not able to reach your greatest potential. I know my godmother is listening, and I call her my godmother because she came in my life at the age of 13. She's not, she was friends with my grandmother, and she told me she saw something in me. She said it seemed like I was surrounded by a pack of wolves. Well, I won't say a pack of wolves, but she saw something in me, and she'd always tell me how smart I was. And she would tell me, get your education. She said, you got a brain, girl. You got a brain. And she said, and white folks gonna want to use you for your brain. But I became a young mother at the age of 18. um and so, because of my past, I was always overprotective of my children. So I didn't want my daughter around anyone that might be able to take advantage of her. I wanted her to be able to talk so she could tell me what's going on. So, with that being said, because I'm a young single mother receiving, at that time, welfare was called AFDC, AFDC, welfare. It's a welfare check. They used to give you a check every 2 weeks, the first and the 15th. And it wasn't nothing. And I would have to do people hair on the side, like braid their hair to make money um to help offset my bills in my little one bedroom apartment. But I never liked the way people talk to me, like they talk down on me. And at that time, I don't know if it's color, because at that time I didn't recognize race or color, but I just thought because I'm poor and I didn't like that feeling, people talking down to me and belittling me, I wanted a job. So they had this program called GAIN. If anybody's from California, you'll remember that program. I'm over the age of 50. So they had this program called GAIN, where if you're on receiving assistance welfare, you could go to school, or they would have this board up where you can get a job, receive some sort of training. So I was in school at the time. I had already enrolled in college, and my godmother told me, stay in school. She told me stay in school. I was doing good, but I saw a job on the board. It was called it was a paratransit driver, like picking up senior citizens, taking them. The company is now, well, shucks, it's too late. The company is called Sundial. Back then it wasn't called Sundial. It was called God, I forgot the name of the company, but it's now owned by Sundial. But we would pick up seniors from their home, take them to their appointments or grocery shopping, whatever they needed to do. So this job would train you to get your commercial driver's license, and you could start working. So I applied for the job. I was hired, and they offered me, if I'm not mistaken, at the time I was hired, I think the pay was $7.35. I think that's how much the pay was. $7.35. I am so sorry, you guys. I'm not even clicking your things, but it was $7.35. So after, I think, 30 days or something, I don't know how long I was there. but I was offered a job as a dispatcher to come into the office and dispatch, and then I was told I would get a pay raise, and I was making $8.10, and I thought I was doing something, baby. I thought I was doing something. I was making money. I got used to making money because remember, God, it's been so long ago. I forgot how much a welfare check was for one child. Oh God, I don't know. I don't know if it was $580. I don't know if it was $580 for the month or $560 for a month. So imagine 500. We'll say it was 580 a month. So imagine you having $580 a month to take care of you and a child. Now you get a job though that's paying you $7.35 an hour, and you're working 40 hours a week, 80 hours of pay period, and if you wanted overtime, you could get it. Boy, that was way more than welfare. And once I got off welfare, I never went back, but I ended up dropping out of college. I was going to College of the Desert. College of the Desert. I was there. And while there, before I dropped out to keep my job full time, I ran into a math teacher. And God, I cannot remember that man's name. But before I started taking his math class, you know how you have to go get your assessment done. So I did the English assessment, math, um, math assessment, and then they had the based on the test that I took, I was supposed to have started at beginning math or whatever. But when I got in the classroom and took the class, I was always getting all A's. So then I went to the next class and I was getting all A's. And I stayed with that same white man. I wish I could remember his name. And then he asked me, "Why are you in this class?" Well, that's before I went to the next class. I think the next class was like a algebra class or something in college. But when I finished that first class with him, he asked me, "Why am I in that class?" Because that I'm too advanced for that class. And I said, "Well, that's where the assessment said I'm supposed to be here." He said, "No, you already know how to do this." Well, then I signed up for the algebra class with him. So again, I'm getting A's in that class. Same old white man. He comes to me and he says, "Haven," he said, "have you ever thought about joining or applying to the MESA program?" I didn't know what the MESA program was. And I was like, "No." And I said, I never thought about it. He said he's going to recommend me. I should apply. I said, "Okay." But mind you, I got that job. Now I'm making money, which was a lot of money to me. And then I have school. I decided to let school go when that probably was the devil tempting me with the money to get the job. Because had I stayed doing the math, because math was something I always loved, there's no telling where I would have been. But again, I didn't have that solid foundation to begin with. Although I had my godmother telling me to stay in school, I couldn't see, you know what I'm saying? I couldn't see long term, like how it would benefit me staying in college at that time. I was concerned about working and making money, and I was concerned with what people thought of me, how they looked at me, and I hated to be judged. So anyway, um, I done lost my train of thought, y'all. Y'all gonna have to remind me because I get on these doggone tangents. So anyway, train of thought just that quick. My grandmother used to always say, if you can't remember, it must have been alive. You can't tell it. That's how my grandma told me. So let me see. Hold on, you guys. I need somebody to give me a hint because I know I was talking. I've been talking about so much stuff. We was talking. Oh, taxes. So let me come back to taxes, Miss Locke. So with that being said, I've worked so much. I never received therapy for my traumas because growing up, I was always told you don't tell anybody. You know, just hearing people in general. Um, And when I had told somebody, it was like nothing was done to me as a child. That's what I saw. So now I'm growing up. I'm overprotective of my child. Don't want to let anybody near them. And so I had an open heart where I didn't want to see anybody hurt. I can relate. I can understand. Um, there was at one point I used to say, well, I don't believe that there's God. And my grandmother, she said, what do you mean? Because my grandmother knew the Bible forwards and backwards. But there were so many bad things that I saw going on around the house that to me, as a child growing up, it conflicted, number one, and number two, because of the things I had experienced as a child. To me, I said there quite possibly couldn't be a a God, because why would God allow such horrible things to happen to children? That was my mindset at that time. That was my mindset. But then I was able, I don't know how many years later, but I was able to see that I was so fortunate. It wasn't too much longer, but I looked back over my life and I remember so many things happening where I shouldn't be here today. I should be dead. I know there's a favor on me, a spiritual being, someone looking out for me, knowing my heart and my intent to be kind to people and want to help people. There's a reason why I'm here. There are people in the chat that are from Chicago. And I don't know if you've grown up uh, in the projects or whatever, but if you have grown up in the projects, you know how rough Chicago is and the projects is. I can't recall what age I was. My mother had a temper. And, if something wasn't done right, you would get a whooping. And I was so afraid of getting a whooping that one day I ran out of the apartment, and this is at nighttime. But mind you, in Chicago, little girl, late at night, because I didn't want a whooping. I found a piece of cardboard. That's how I know when I reflect back, when things get so hard, I think about certain things. I know there had to be somebody protecting me, because as a little girl in Chicago during that time, I had took a piece of cardboard that I had found. I slept in the stairwell, Don't you know somebody could have taken advantage of me? Somebody could have taken my life, but I was able to lay on that cardboard and sleep until the next day. So I know that was somebody protecting me. So I always have a soft spot. So I know everybody's story is different. And just because you may have the strength and tenacity to move forward and be successful, everybody does not have that ability. So you can't judge everybody by your standard. And I had to learn that. So in my mind, I've always thought, if I made it, you can make it. If I did this, and then I would always want to help my family, especially my sisters. And so my sister gave me permission to share this story, because at first I told her no, I would rather have her online so she can share her story herself. And she said, well, I'm too real for them because I get the cussing and whatever else. And I said, that's fine. Maybe we can do the live late at night. But anyway, um, my sister at a point was incarcerated in prison, and she had children. My sister was incarcerated while she was pregnant, and she gave birth to her child while in prison. Now, I had I had my two at this time. Now I have two kids. I have all of my children, my sister's kids. So the baby wouldn't go into the system. I told them I would take the baby. And so as soon as she gave birth, they brought the baby to me. The social worker, a white woman, she was nice. And the reason I'm making an emphasis of pointing out the ethnicity and the race, because I'm receiving comments from people saying I'm racist when I get to talking about I want reparations and how there's discrimination, how it has affected me. I know that all white people are not bad, because there have been some positive white people in my life that have helped me, some that have opened doors and I didn't realize they were opening doors for me. I had no clue. So that is my emphasis of pointing out the color of the person. So she saw that I did not have enough room in my home because my sister had several kids that required, I needed a bigger place. And she was going to try to help me. I was working full time, going to college part time, having little trouble. Well, ain't a little troubles in my marriage. And where, well, I got rid of him before they came. So really it was just me with all these kids, little old me, with my two, and now my nieces and nephews. Because I did not want them to be placed into the system. So anyway, um, I was taking care of them. Um, Shout out to my Latino friends in California that are listening. You know who you are. I was a school bus driver. Um, Two of the kids were too small. Um, well, one of the kids, no, it was two that was too small to go to daycare because the lady that would watch my youngest daughter, she didn't have any room um, for uh, my sister's children. So I had befriended one of the parents of a student on my bus. I would drive a special needs bus for the school district, and so they agreed to watch my niece and my nephew for me. And when I tried to pay them, she didn't want to take the money from me, and I told her I would feel like I was using her if I didn't give her something. And so eventually, my sister gets out of prison. Now, keep in mind, you guys, I've shared a little bit of my trauma, my back, no therapy, but still trying to function, going through life, functioning, holding it all in because you have to be the strong black woman. Black people don't tell anything. You take it to God. You don't tell people your business. Just trauma all around. So I'm functioning. So now the social worker is helping me to try to get stuff in progress. While attending college, I was in a Spanish class, taking a Spanish class. I happened to meet a special education teacher in the class. Come to find out, because of one of my um, sister's children diagnosis, she was trying to connect me with resources and telling me how I can get funding and so forth. She was also going to help me. Well, my sister ends up getting released from prison. And truthfully, the check that the welfare department was giving me for her children, it really, that money was used enough to pay for groceries because they would not give me any food stamps for the children because they said I made too much money, although I wasn't on the case. And I said, well, that doesn't make any sense. I don't receive any assistance. This is for them. Therefore, they need food. And they said, well, there has to be an adult on the case. So the only thing that they were eligible to receive is just the cash assistance. So the cash assistance was used to pay for childcare, which really it turned out I was watching my sister's kids, caring for them for free. So when she got released from prison and came to my home and, she wanted the money, I told her there is no money. And I was already like under so much, stress, everything, going through the divorce, everything, just building, just building, just building. That I told her she could just take her kids, just take your kids and you can have the check too. Take your kids and take the check too. So I love my sister. I love the kids. I have a big heart and I'm still pushing through. So now, ended up leaving. Now it's years later. I find out that there is a niece in trouble that needs help, but the niece is not in California. The niece is out of state. So, because of my job with this hospital that I worked at as a nurse, registered nurse, um, it's a prestigious hospital. However, we're responsible and required for finding our own replacement at work. So, if you want to take a day off, you have to switch with somebody else, have them work for you. So, because I lived near what I would do is I would schedule my flight I would be able to fly out of state to attend to matters concerning my niece, turn around, fly back in to California, and go to work. So I was doing that. I was doing that. I'm still doing because again, in my mind, I need to help my niece. That's my niece. She needs help, and she has a child that needs help. So we get out there. I get out there, and we get in front of the judge, and so um, it was determined that the following week the judge would allow my niece to leave that state to come to California because I had proved my income. I had the finances, I had the home. We have lots of resources in California that could help her. And I go ahead, everything was good. We were on cloud nine. And I leave and go back to California. And then all of a sudden, I get a phone call. Auntie, I mean, just sounding slurred, like inebriated. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? I'm yelling because I hear her screaming. Then all of a sudden, the officer gets on the phone and tell me they are arresting her. Oh my God, that it was not what we needed because it just threw a monkey wrench in everything. Everything was going good because I had even told her once we get to California, as long as we show that you're in the resources you need or whatever, they are already working with me so I can get your child. That threw a monkey wrench in it. Then it was like I had been spread myself so thin for all these years that in dealing now with all of that and dealing with the microaggressions, because I've done dealt with that all through school. I've dealt with that. So, but the thing is, as a child, you don't know that you're dealing with microaggressions because I thought there's, being young in California and so many different ethnicities, I didn't know there was anything like racism. Like I didn't think it was happening to me. And I'm being honest. And please don't judge, but judge. And I truly understand. So I can relate to when I tell people in California, it's like a whole different world. You have people that are white identified, black people. You have black people that don't like the color of their skin. And I'm going to tell you, there's this cream called Ambi that I remember growing up as a young girl. We've all used it to lighten our skin. I remember when I was a young girl, before I knew who I was and had pride and understood the effect of white supremacy, I was one of those people you couldn't catch me out in the sun, baby, because I don't want my skin to get darker. I was one of those people, I was addicted to the creamy crack. The creamy crack being a hair relaxer to keep my hair straight. Do y'all remember when weaves first came out? It used to be, shunned upon to wear fake hair back in the day. But baby, put that little weave on in. Honey, just brainwash. Just brainwash. So anyway, I'm going to fast forward. I'm going to fast forward. So I'm holding on, I'm holding on, and I'm holding on. But I can tell something's not right. But I decide, let me go speak to a psychiatrist because at work I'm the life of the party. Patients are laughing, co-workers are laughing, the doctors love me, supervisors, everybody's talking about I would love to come and hang out with you, or we would love to invite you to our estate, or we would love to take you here. But little did they know I'm the life of the party at work and I'm an excellent employee. But once I would leave, go home and do whatever I needed to do with my children, I just wasn't 100%. So then I went to see someone, and the doctor, that was the best psychiatrist I had ever seen. He was so kind. He was very patient. So we set up different things that I could do. A lot of therapists, they can't relate to us. They have no idea of our background and they could care less. And I'm one of those people that I pay attention to your body language, your facial expressions, your response, how you're talking to me, the tone, the cadence, and I'm looking at your actions as well. So it was like, shoot, I'm just coming here this one time. After I talk, I'm not coming back. That's what I would say because they don't care. He doesn't care about me or she doesn't care about me. They can't relate. 2017. is when everything started crushing, because it was like, okay, the situation with my niece occurred in 2016, and it still bothered me, because to me, I felt like I let another family member down that I couldn't help, that I was trying to help. And everyone thinks that I'm judging them. I'm not judging them, but that's in their mind. They perceive me as being bougie when I'm the most frugalist person in the world. I don't even buy expensive items at all. I don't do anything like that. But anyway, my godmother had told me, you need to go work for the prison. And I told her, honey, I ain't work for no prison. And I said, because they have a policy. California has a policy. They will not negotiate. If there's a riot or anything, they're not going to negotiate your release. So you can get killed. So and because in my mind, they may try to rape me or anything. That's what I'm thinking, right? That's what I'm thinking. So my godmother said, no, you need to go. You'll like it. It's an easy job. Baby, I got into that job and it was very fun. It was easy. So easy. In fact, it didn't feel like work. And baby, that was some good, easy money. That the manager of the unit, she trained me. I hadn't even been on the job for 30 days. Imagine that. Now, I'm the only black nurse. I'm the only black nurse, but my manager trained me to be the charge nurse. And normally, all the charge nurse does is you look over the 5150 holds, you make sure it's legal, everything is signed, everything is correct. Okay, yes, let me see where we're going to put them. Let's do this and let me assign it to this nurse. But that's all the charge nurse is supposed to do, nothing else. So that's really easy. But anytime they made me charge nurse, I would be the charge nurse and I would also pass the medicine on the top tier. So they didn't need it. You know what I'm saying? It was easy to do the pill pass. So I'm one of those people, if I don't know something, I'll tell you I don't know it. I love to read to find out how to do it or whatever. So I love that job. Easy money, easy money. Well, what happened is one day, um, I had shared this story earlier in an earlier video I did. Um, I think it's the one where someone wanted to dox me. I said who I am. But anyway, I'm going down because we have two tiers. I was on the acute, it's called 8A, acute site. So that unit, acute psych, we get the patients when they're unstable. They've been either arrested out in the city or surrounding cities. They're having a psychiatric episode on another housing unit in the jail, or they've been placed on a 5150 at the prison. So everybody comes into our unit and they're unstable. So if they come in and they're on suicide watch, they have to go on the first tier. They have to have a paper gown on. We have to take off all their clothes. They can only have a paper gown, and the nurse, the RN, as well as the officer, they do rounds. So the RN has to do suicide checks every 15 minutes, and the officer does suicide checks every 10 minutes, and it can't be at the same time, so anyway, I'm working on the first floor this day. I'm not the charge, so I'm on the first floor. So I go up to the cell in California. Um, our patients are in their own cell, so it's not like in the South. I notice here in the South that they have the patients housed like in a dormitory style, or they'll have them like four in a room or two in a room. Well, we're in California, you have your own room. At least in the prisons and the jails that I've worked at, they have your own room, and the door you don't have to open. The officer doesn't have to open the door so you can get the medicine. They just open the tray. So they open up the tray, They stand next to you. You sit the cup on the tray. Then the patient reaches their hand out to get the medicine. So when I get to this gentleman's room, he's walking around. He smells. He's disheveled with his hair all over the place. The room is a mess. He's talking. He's responding. He's responding to internal stimuli. And so I call his name and he looks, and then I identify who I am and I tell him I'm here to pass his medication. So I tell him what the medication is, and he said, "No, I don't want to take it." And I said, "Well, it's Depakine." I said it'll help with the voices in your head. And I'm telling him, I said, "Well, why don't you want to take it, Mr. Sunday?" He said, "Because it tastes nasty, it tastes bitter, and it hurts my stomach." And I said, "Well, how about will you take it if I give you vanilla insure? Because those voices you hear in your head?" And he stopped and he looked at me. I said, "This medicine will help with that. If you don't take it, eventually what'll happen is they'll go before the judge and they'll get a forced order to where you'll get shots. So even if you refuse, you'll get shots. And I would hate to see you receive a shot." I said, "I'll put the medicine in the vanilla Ensure. That way it is sweet and it'll coat your stomach." So he said, "Okay." So I show him the little cup. We have little paper cups because California is real strict. No plastic cups, none of that. So I take the little small paper cup. I have the little two Depakine liquid. Depakine is a liquid form of Depakote, and the generic name for that is valproic acid. So sometimes people take Depakote like for seizures, for mood disorder, and so forth. A lot of times you'll see patients that are diagnosed with schizophrenia. They'll get Depakote. People with bipolar, they may have Depakote or lithium. So we'll just stick with the Depakine for now with this gentleman. So I have a habit with psychiatric patients. I never open their medicines without them seeing me because most often they're paranoid. So I showed him the inside of the cup so he could see it was empty. I poured some vanilla Ensure in there. Then I poured the two cups. I opened up the two cups of liquid Depakine, poured it in the cup, stirred it up, and then I told him, "Now when you drink up the Ensure, it's going to have the red residue at the bottom. That's your medicine, the rest of your medicine. I'll give you some more Ensure." So I set the cup on the tray, and the entire time, the officer's standing there with me. He's listening to the conversation. So I sit it on the tray. He takes um the cup, he drinks it, and then he looks to see that the red residue from the Depakine, the liquid Depakine, is at the bottom. He puts it on a tray. So then I go and then I put more insurance than he takes it. So he ended up taking all his medicine. So at the end of the night, the shift, we all sit around the table. So we're giving shift report to the oncoming shift. So then when I get to him, I said, "Yes, and Mr. Sunday in room 2, he's med compliant. He took all of his medications." And they said he took his medicine. He always refuses. I said, "Yeah, he refused me at first." I asked him why he wouldn't take the medication. And he told me because it's bitter and it hurts his stomach. So when I offered him the medicine and explained to him what the medicine is for, and then I can mix it with the Ensure, I said he took it. And so I said, "It's documented. So just whenever you give him the Depakine, give him the Ensure." Probably about 2 weeks later, 2 weeks later, I'm coming in. So when you come in through work, you have to put your bag on the conveyor belt, and then you have to walk through the sally port. So it's like a little before you go through the sally port, you got the x-ray machine. So then, before I can even walk through the sally port to go into the unit, onto the floor to catch the elevator to go up to the unit, my manager was there. No, she wasn't. I did get to the floor. I went up to my floor, to my unit. I set my stuff down, and I was about to get report, and I got a telephone call. They told me it was the manager. So, when I got the phone, I was talking to her, and she told me to get my things and come back downstairs. And I said, come downstairs. She said, yeah, come meet me in the lobby. So when I said, oh, okay, I'm not thinking anything of it. So I go ahead, grab my things, and I go back downstairs. And then she tells me that I've been placed under investigation. I was like, what? She said, don't say anything to anybody. Don't trust anybody. And I said, well, what am I being investigated for? And she said, for giving a patient med, she said crush meds, force no, she didn't say force meds. She said crush meds because he had a pill that I had open that had broke, but it was the liquid depakine, whatever. And I said, I didn't give anybody any crush meds. She said, what happened? What did you do? And I said, well, patient Mr. Sunday in room 2, he wouldn't take Depakine, so I had mixed it with Ensure. And she said, okay. She said, well, they're placing you on administrative leave. There's nothing I can do. I tried to talk for you. She said, but contact the union so that they can represent you, but don't trust anybody. And I said, okay. And I went ahead and left. And I was like, well, what the heck? Long story short, I ended up getting released because I was still on probation, and I worked for the county. Me and the other nurse were both represented by the same union. And although there was proof, and I could show from the documentation and the electronic charting proof from a time clock that I wasn't at work that day, that the lady said that I told her I gave crushed his meds and gave it to him. And I was like, liquid, it's liquid depakine. It was in a cup. One, I never gave her report because she works on day shift. I worked on evening shift, and I never worked that day. We've never passed each other. Um, and then the day that she claims that I did it, I wasn't even working that day. So even with that proof, the head of custodial health services over my manager, he went ahead and fired me. And probably had I stayed quiet and not said anything, I still would have been on administrative leave getting paid because they had several cases where there were officers involved with patients' death prior to me coming there that they were on administrative leave as well as the nurses that were working that night. But I wanted to get back to work because I loved the job. I mean, I was making good money. It was easy, honey. It was way different than working on a step down unit or in trauma nursing. This was easy breezy. And honey, I kept pushing the issue, went to the union, showed proof, this, that, and the other. And then they ended up releasing me. They even went through the motion to have an alternative person make the decision. So I'm sitting there, my story never changed, and I'm telling them, but they said yes. Um, he would give the director of custodial services his decision. The only reason he was interviewing me so that it wasn't a conflict of interest. I get over there to that man, and that man told me they were releasing me because anyway I was still on probation. And baby, when I tell you I cried, I didn't cry in front of them, but once I stepped out that building and sat in my truck, I when I tell you I cried, and that broke me. It broke me because one, that let me know, although a union is good and bad, it makes sure that you have better health insurance, you have better pay, and supposedly they're supposed to protect your rights. But instead of them doing the right thing and standing up for me, they chose to side with the other nurse who had been working there for years and she was white. Why would you reward someone when it's clearly shown that they lied and I had never worked that day? And a forced med is not putting liquid medicine in Ensure, especially if the patient knows about it. A forced med, whether it's in here in the South or in California, forced med is when you have to call the doctor to get an emergency order because the patient's behavior is uncontrollable. They're a danger to themselves, they're a danger to others, and they're going to have to be physically restrained. So therefore, the patient does not have any orders on their chart. So you call the doctor, and the doctor will give you the order. The medication is given by injection. So then you have to call the officers up to the unit to hold the patient, and then the nurse comes and gives a shot. I didn't give anybody a shot. I didn't do any of that. So I called an attorney. I had all of my evidence. I had a whole big book. I had called an attorney. First, I put in the message or whatever, and I guess they knew I had a case, and they called me. And so I shared the story. I told them I had proof of the documentation, my time cards, my schedule. I hadn't even been there. She and I had never interacted. When the attorney, they said that they would represent me. But once they found out that I worked for the county, a government institution, they told me that they cannot sue them. So I lost a job that I really loved, something I was doing the right thing for. And honestly, I think that was just the excuse they needed to fire me, because prior to that, I had came to work one day and saw a young African American male in one of the cells. And I'm coming around when I come on the unit, I get report, I come and make rounds to see if everybody breathing. This a hospital, nursing home, in prison, in jail. I want to make sure I got to put eyes on my patient to make sure they are breathing. So when I get to this his cell, I see this young African American male. So I jump back and I said, "Oh, damn, what happened to you?" You know, because he was so knotted up, lumped up. You could see the bruising. I really believe that young man had a hematoma, because those officers wear those steel toe boots. He said, I was hearing voices and I hit one of the officers, so they jumped on me. And I said, "Oh man, oh my God." I said, did you have go to the hospital? Did you have an MRI done? He said, "No." I said, "Well, I'm about to send you out to the hospital." He said, "No, no, no. I did. I went to the hospital." I said, "Are you sure?" He said, he went to the hospital. I said, "Well, I don't know." I said, "You could mess around and have a subdural hematoma, some subdural bleeding." I said, "Are you nauseous? Do you feel like you want to throw up?" "No, ma'am." I said, "Do your head hurt?" He said, "My head hurt." Not give him the pain scale or whatever. I asked him, "Is his vision blurred?" "No, ma'am." I said, "Okay." I said, if you at any time feel like you need to go to the hospital, let me know. But you always go to the hospital. That way that there is an electronic paper trail. I said, "So you let me know." And he said, "Yes, ma'am." So as I turned to walk away from his cell, I happened to see an officer there on my unit that had never been there before. Had never been, but he was paying attention to the conversation between myself and this patient. So I don't, I notice it, but I don't say anything. I just walk on past and I go upstairs, up the stairs. So then a couple of days later, because we have a high turnover, like we may keep our patients, they'll come in, they may be on a 72-hour hold. It can be extended to 14 days. And at that time, switches from a hold on, a 72-hour hold from a 5150 to a 5250. So then, if we end up keeping them longer and the patients refuse to take their medicine, then eventually they go before the judge. One second, you guys. Let me check on my son. So anyway, um, a couple of days after that incident, I come to work and I hear a clicking noise. Well, let me back up. So after the 5250, once a patient is placed on 5250, then we keep documenting, like if they haven't taken their medicine or whatever. Then we have the judge on site. There's a courthouse on site in the basement. So then you go ahead, the judge will write the order that we can give forced meds. We'll still have the oral meds available for the patient, but if the patient refuses to take the pills, then we give them the IM injection, and they can't refuse that because we have a judge's order. So at that point, that's when the officers come, they get geared up, they come into the room, they uh, restrain the patient, and then we come in and give them the injection. So anyway, I'm making rounds, and as I'm coming, I hear a clicking noise. I'm hyper vigilant because of my background. I pay attention to everything. I'm not paranoid, but I'm alert and I'm aware of my surroundings. I'm aware of different people on the unit, whether it's at home, in a grocery store, at school. That's just my nature because I have to make sure my surroundings are safe. And so, anyway, I hear a clicking noise, and I said, that sounds like a cell door popping. So, as I get closer to this cell, because I hear the clicking, I decide to step further out away from the door. Now, mind you, we're supposed to go to the door to look in the window because we have to check to make sure the patient is okay. So that requires you to walk up to the cell door and look at them. But because I heard the clicking, I decided to walk further out. So as I approached the door where I heard the clicking sound, the cell door popped. It popped open. And so I hurried up and walked past it real fast. And then I turned around and got into like a defensive stance. Like I had my left foot forward, my right foot back. And I always keep a pen in my pocket. Because baby, it's your life or my life. And it's fight or flight. And I'm not about to flight. I'm a fight for dear life because in my mind, I'm not going to stop until I see blood because in my mind, you're going to kill me. And that's just the way it is. So I got in position and put my hand and I started yelling for the officers and I told them the cell door is open. The cell door is open. Because at the same time that the cell door popped open, the patient was up near the door. So I don't know, had I been at the door looking in to do my check like I'm supposed to, the cell door would have popped open and the patient is already right there. So that event happened a couple of days after me talking to the young African American patient who I saw with all of the lumps on his head. So I say that that was like the icing on the cake that made me like a job I love. I got fired. Now let me move. My godmother is going through something. Come on down here where I'm at. Hold on. Okay, you guys, look, this is Misbehaving is Fun, where I talk about real people, real problems, and real drama. And just like a real person, baby, sometime I may have to mute this live because I'm a mother and a grandmother, and this is my weekend with my grandson. One moment. Okay, my apologies, my apologies. So, I moved back home to where I didn't want to be. And before I did that, my godmother, um, she had an illness, and she's a non-compliant patient. She's a non-compliant patient, and she wouldn't do what her doctors required of her. So she knew I never wanted to move back to that area where we lived, because to me it held bad memories, and I didn't want to go back there. But I told her she's not compliant, and I'm explaining to her what the risk factors are with her diagnosis by her not following the treatment plan. And she told me, she said, "Well, if you were living out here, I would go." And I believe she said that because she didn't think I would move back because she knew I never wanted to return. So I ended up moving back. So then I get back there, I'm back at home, I'm near her. It's changed a lot from when I was younger to where I got this job as a nursing supervisor. And it was for a prestigious company. A lot of wealthy people. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go ahead. Well, I don't care. They didn't care about me the way I was done. But anyway, I'll hold on to that for now. So anyway, I'm the supervisor and I'm responsible for doing admissions. I have to review the patient referrals from the hospital to see if they could come over because this community, they have their own skilled rehab facility, but they have apartments and they have houses. So it's like a all one and stop. They're all retirees, they're wealthy. So that way, if they happen to be sent out to the hospital from their home or their apartment, when it's time for them to be discharged from the hospital and they're not stable enough to go back home, they come over to the unit. And it's no additional charge to them because it's part of the premium package that they pay for. So anyway, boy, it was fun there. It was fun, it was easy. And I came across a nurse. Her nickname for me was Curly because I always had my hair curly. I'd wear curlies, and she say Curly. She said Curly, and I believe she was 97 years old. She was a retired registered nurse, and we would often talk. And she was confined to the bed. Well, then you would have patients on the units where I had one lovely lady staying there rehabbing, and her husband would come over from their home to come and visit her. And he was a veteran, and he shared a story with me uh, where he was friends with a lot of men that were Tuskegee Airmen. And he probably thought I didn't know who they were because he tried to quiz me. And I said, yes, yes, from the great state of Alabama. Yes. And he said, so you know? He said, yes. And he said, well, do you know that so and so widow lives here? And I said, really? He said, I'll introduce you to her. I said, oh, I would love to meet her. I love to. Yes. So anyway, we're gonna fast forward. So one patient that was there, while I'm doing the referral and admission is coming in, I had several. So I'm putting the orders in and doing stuff, and I'm sitting at the desk. So I'm typing. I don't hear anybody say, "Excuse me, can I get your attention?" Because I had already talked to his wife earlier. The I was the only black nurse there. I'm the supervisor, but she had a concern with a CNA, so I handled it. Got someone else to provide care for her and let the LVN know, like keep a close eye on her and make sure that her needs are met. So anyway, I'm sitting down while I'm typing. Her husband comes up to the desk. And mind you, at that time, I didn't know it was her husband. Even if I did know, I didn't know because he didn't make his presence known. He didn't say, excuse me, or clear his throat. He didn't do anything. He just stood there. So then I felt weight. I was so in my zone typing or whatever. I felt like weight on the desk. So then I looked up and I saw him and his face was red. So I said, yes, sir. Hi. I said, I'm Hayden. How can I help you? He said, you're not taking care of my wife. I said, excuse me, sir, who is your wife? And then when he told me, I said, oh, he said, they didn't come. And I said, oh, no. I said, I took care of it, sir. The lady that was helping her and the nurse that's giving the medicine. And so, but I switched out CNAs. She has a new CNA. And I made sure everything, you're gonna get down there and you're gonna see and check on my wife and do whatever she tells you to do. And he's yelling. So I have a thing because I suffer from PTSD. Um, when anytime a man raises their voice, it startles me, it frightens me, and it puts me into a mindset I have to defend myself. So I pushed my chair away from the desk because there's nothing preventing him from coming around to come into the nurse's station. So he's yelling. I don't say anything to him. And he said, and I know the powers that be, and I'll have your job and I'll have you terminated and I'll get rid of you. And so what I did is I turned around and started walking away. He started coming around as if he was going to follow me around on the other side of the nurse's station. So I hurried up and went into a room that that was locked. That was locked. I just walked on in there so he couldn't come up in there. So anyway, after a few moments, one of the CNAs came and they said, Miss Haven, are you okay? And I said no, because now now the tears are coming down or whatever, because he's triggered me, and now I don't feel safe. But I don't have anybody to replace me, so I could go home. I try to reach out to the director of nursing and let her know. She won't answer the phone. So then I text her. She won't text back. I call the staffing coordinator so they can have someone else come in because I'm not feeling safe. She won't return the call. So I'm stuck there. I'm stuck here with a man that's yelling, threatening me, following me around the nurse's station, and I had not done anything to her. I wasn't even here at the beginning. So anyway, I put a detailed email in and I CC everyone, the DON, the administrator, HR, about what transpired and the things that were said to me. And due to my past and the things that have happened to me, I did not feel safe. So anyway, they always have me at work. I would pick up extra days because now, I'm just back at home by myself. My son was with his father, so now I could work and make money and do whatever I need to do until my godmother completes her treatment. All of a sudden, I get a call from the director of nurses, that I didn't need to come in, and they were taking me off the schedule. And I said, why? And she said, well, she told me, I didn't need to come in the next day. They took me off the schedule. They have somebody else to work. And I said, okay, I'm not thinking anything of it. Then HR calls me from our building to tell me, um, on Thursday, she called me and told me, I should be receiving a telephone call from corporate HR on Friday. They've taken me off the schedule. So I asked her why. Why was I taken off the schedule? And she said, they'll talk to you. HR will let you know tomorrow when they talk to you. I say, okay. So when HR called me from corporate, the corporate office is in Arizona, and I still have that call to this day. The gentleman called me, and when he got to talking to me, he told me he had to let me know. And mind you, I had never been written up at this job. I got glowing recommendations. Uh, Always worked extra shifts, whatever shift they needed, when they were short, if I needed to stay over, if they didn't have an additional nurse and they needed a supervisor and nurse to, you know what I'm saying? I'm doing two positions for one check. Not even tripping because it was a lovely job, a nice, clean environment, and I love what I do. Um, so when the HR, corporate HR is talking to me and tell me like they were letting me go, and like, letting me go for what? And so I told him I've never had any complaints. I said, in fact, they have me doing the admissions coordinator job. I'm reviewing referrals and I do the admissions. I said the social worker, she keeps going back and forth, traveling out of town because of family issues. She's trained me to do some of her work as far as patients getting discharged, what section of the discharge I need to fill out, what packets I need to give them so that they can select their home health agency. I'm just explaining everything. So actually, I'm doing three positions for one check. So I told him what transpired. I told him I had sent an email to the director of nurses, the administrator, as well as the HR. God, I wish I remembered that lady's name. And he asked me, when did I send it? And I told him when I sent it, and I told him I could forward the email to him. I wonder if I still got that email. But anyway, it was a long email because afterwards, my before corporate ever got involved where they took me off the schedule, my boss DON wanted to talk to me because they tried to say that the patient, not her husband, but The patient is a veteran, and they're well known in the community. And she said her husband, and because I told them it was an act of aggression. It made me feel, I said, I know racism. I said, I know the tone, I know the behavior, and I was frightened. I felt unsafe, and he acted as if he was about to hit me, his behavior. So they tried to tell me his wife said that, oh, he's not racist. He would never hit a woman and whatever, this, that, and the third. Well, later on, his wife sees me in the hall and she apologizes to me. And I tell her, thank you for the apology, but she didn't have to apologize because she wasn't the one that had done anything to me or threatened me. It was her husband. So shortly thereafter, that's when everything else transpired, where they pulled me off the schedule, and then I received the call from HR. So I send them email corporate HR, my email. Then they get back in touch with me on Monday. They told me to return back to work. I was paid for, I think I was off work. Let me back up. I think I was off work for a week or two. I was off work for 2 weeks. So mind you, you're off work for 2 weeks with no pay. So but then when I went back to work, they made the decision to bring me back. We had to have a meeting. The corporate HR gentleman, he attended the meeting via Zoom with the administrator, the HR lady, and the director of nursing. So we're all sitting there for the meeting. And so my DON, one thing about Caucasian people, white people, one way we can tell your emotions is that you turn colors. When you're angry, you turn red. When you're hypoxic, you're blue in the face. When you're on that inebriated from alcoholic beverages, you turn beet red. So my director of nurses, she's sitting there, she's turning red and she's tapping her leg. She's mad. Her eyebrows are furrowed. She's upset. So she's tapping and doing that. So I look at her and asked her, you know, are you okay? What's wrong? And she was like, no, I've just never been through anything like this. And I'm just nervous. I said, oh, okay. I mean, I was just asking a question. So anyway, um, once the corporate guy gets off the phone because he wanted to know if I had any questions, and I had a list of questions. Like I was telling him, like the different complaints that were written down, I addressed each one and gave examples. So everything was supposed to have been fine. I resumed. I was going to get back pay. They would try to give me the money as soon as possible. So it wouldn't create a hardship. Well, it was already a hardship missing a check for 2 weeks, especially if you're living check to check and you don't have a huge savings. Now I've never had like where it was like $0 in the bank, but it wasn't like I had at least $10,000 saved. You know what I'm saying? They always say you should have at least 6 months saved in your savings. And that's why we also need to push financial literacy to our children and young children in general. But anyway, I digress. So once the corporate HR guy gets off the phone, baby, that's when the administrator let me have it. They let me know that nobody liked me. Now that was new to me, that nobody liked me. I've created a hostile environment. That was new to me as well because patients didn't think so. And that they had received complaints from case managers at the hospital saying I was rude because they would call to want to see had I reviewed their referral packet for admission, and I would be rude with them. And I said, and then, I questioned, like, rude when? So anyway, knowing that, to hear somebody tell you that nobody likes you, that you've created a hostile environment, it bothered me. So normally when I come to work, I'm jovial, I'll sing, patients will come through, their family members will come, they give little gifts or whatever. And so now I was keeping to myself. I was sitting and I hadn't realized how people observed me, my behavior until one day the wife of a patient I had admitted to the hospital. Um, she came over and she said, "Hey, Haven, how are you, dear?" And I said, "Hi, I'm fine." And she said, "No, it doesn't seem like you're fine. That's not you. Normally you're singing, you're smiling, you're so happy, but something's going on. Is everything okay?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am. Everything is okay. Everything is okay." So the gentleman that I described earlier, who's a veteran from the Air Force, whose wife is a patient there, he saw me and he screamed, he yelled out loud. He said, "Hayden, oh my God, you're back. You're back." And I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Oh, my wife will be happy to see you. She's been asking where you're at." So then the other coworkers that came, now they told me nobody likes me. I've created a hostile environment. I'm back. My apologies. So then coworkers start coming up to me talking about, "Hey there, Miss Haven is back," and wanting to give me a hug. You can tell when somebody's fake and you can tell when they're genuine. And the people that were greeting me and welcoming back, it didn't feel fake. It felt genuine. Then they were coming to me telling me, "You need to go check on patient in such and such room. They were asking for you. They were asking for you. They're looking for you." And so even the tall man, they thought I had been fired. So can you imagine that? They had told people I was fired. They had told people I was fired. So anyway, the 97-year-old registered nurse, I walk in her room. She wasn't one of the people that had asked for me, but I walked in her room because her call light was on so I could go see what she needed. And when she saw me, she said, "Haven, honey, you're here." Mind you, the whole time I had worked at that place, the only thing that lady would call me is Curly. Now all of a sudden, a sister gone for 2 weeks and come back. She knows my name. So anyway, I kept being subjected to things on the workplace. The administrator coming to bother me, pulling me in the office, having the director of nurses witness the conversation. And I asked him, could I record the conversation? I have the recording of the conversation of the meeting that we all had, and I never told them that. But when it came this time to record the conversation, I asked permission because in California, you have to have permission. And he said, no, I could not record the call. So he said if he got another complaint, and I said, "What complaint have you had?" He said I was rude to the case manager from the hospital. And I said, "I wasn't talking to anybody. I've never been rude to anybody." And I said, "Did you question any of my coworkers?" Because I was working and I named all the coworkers was working with that day. He told me he didn't have to ask anybody anything. He told me if he got a complaint about me from anyone about my attitude, he was firing me. And so when he said that, I went ahead and finished out my shift because if you walk off your job, they can contact the board of nursing and they can have your license snatched for job abandonment. So I finished that job and I never went back. And that was the second job within 2 years that I really loved. I enjoyed because it was easy. It didn't feel like work. It wasn't stressful. Um, Oftentimes, a lot of the doctors that work there, even like the patients, when they would get admitted, I'd do my head to toe assessment, and they would ask me, "Was I the doctor?" And I would say, "No, I'm the nurse supervisor." And they would say, "What nursing school did you go to?" And then I would tell them the name of the nursing school, and they would tell me I need to go to school to be a doctor. I've had patients tell me that. I've had doctors tell me that. I've had nurse practitioners tell me that. Because if I do an admission, the head to toe assessment on an admission, the doctors will go behind me and copy everything I put, and they trust my judgment. And it just didn't start when I became an RN, even when I was an LVN, which is the same as an LPN here on in the Midwest and down south. And I guess do they have LPNs up in New York, you guys? I don't know. So anyway, my assessment skill has always been that way. So once I left that job, it just caused me to have a breakdown where it was just everything. It was like the tip of the iceberg, and now it's like you're already breaking. You're dealing with a lot. You're trying to cope with a lot and whatever else. And that was that. Because it was like all my life working, you deal with those microaggressions. People can yell at you. You have to bite your tongue. I had learned this habit of always biting the inside of my cheek when someone would speak to me disrespectfully because I had children to take care of. I have bills to pay, and people would continue to do that. But anyway, after that, that's when everything went downhill, Miss Locke. In 2000, that was like 2017. And I'm getting back to normal. I'm not where I should be, but I know that I'm supposed to be with my son. Um, they don't offer the best resources for him here in the South, but I'm trying to make sure that his father is able to be in his life. I have seen some things where it's just best that maybe, go back to California and stay there so my son can have the resources he needs. Because although that my son, his family here, his father's family here, they are influential people and there are so many resources, nobody ever assisted, nobody ever reached out. I believe the only person that truly loved my son and cared about his well being was his grandmother on his father's side, his paternal grandmother. She would be the one to get him off the bus and whatever. And then once she passed away from cancer a few years back, there has been no one that really cared for my son. And I didn't know that. I know there was a time before she passed away, before I knew she had cancer, I told his father, okay, I'm coming to get my son to bring him back home. He needs to be out here. His father said, my mom has cancer. Since my son is the only boy and the youngest grandchild, and she was so involved in his life, I didn't want to take him. I left him out here so she could have all of her grandkids around her. When she passed away, I called his father and I said, okay, when he gets out of school, I'm coming to get him to bring him back home. It's time for him to come back home. He cried and said, please don't take my boy. Please don't take my son. I never wanted to come back to the South to live. If I had to work, now to retire in the South, yes. But as long as I have to still be in the working market, the South is not where I want to be because they don't pay you anything and they overwork you. I know that for experience because I've worked in the hospital. Honey, when I came back here picking up PRN shifts through an agency, honey, they like to kill me. I got so spoiled out in California on a med surge floor in California. They won't give you more than 5 patients. On a med surge telemetry floor, you won't get more than 4 patients. On a step down unit, they won't give you more than 3 patients. In the ICU, they not finna give you more than 2. Baby, here in the South, they gonna work you, baby. They working you. I'm telling you, I don't mean to offend anybody here from the South, but it's like a modernized plantation. They will work the hell out of you for pennies on the dollar. But I came anyway because my son was out here. His father is here. I know he loves his father, and his father loves him. I didn't care too much for his father because of the way he did me 12 years ago. And like I've always said, you got one time to show me who you are. Baby, you'll never get a chance to do that to me again. But I only came back out here so that our son could have both parents in his life. And that way we could uh, provide child care for him. Like if one of us takes him to school, like we work our schedules around our son's schedule. So it's always one of us with him. So anyway, that's why I say it's a way to peacefully coexist, man. I don't like that man. That man don't like me. When I first came, he was, baby. I don't double back. I don't double back. Thank you. Hit the like button, you guys. Subscribe if you haven't. Hey, Miss Elizabeth, how you doing? That's another nurse. Thank you for your service. Yes, cans big sis, but it depends on who's the charge nurse. Because, honey, sometimes there's some lazy charge nurses. They don't want to do nothing but sit on their butt. And the place, yes, Miss Peppers, tell it, Miss Pepper. God bless all healthcare providers because they have a special kind of heart to deal with patients. Yes, they do. You know, many people like to say nurses are angels with wings. Well, no, they say nurses are angels. I say if nurses are angels, certified nurse assistants, the CNAs, the patient care techs, the mental health techs, those are our wings because we couldn't do our job without their assistance. And if you have a CNA that's thorough, that knows their job, baby, that's like finding gold. And then I like to motivate people. I would try to tell people at work, like I buy them lunch. Okay, I'm treating today. Everybody on the unit, even the officers included, write down what you want. Trying to, build up morale to say thank you for a job. Lead by example. I get out there, work clean, because I like to have something clean. I don't want my patients on no nasty unit. Baby, when I'm gone from work and I come back to that unit, it be stinking. The unit I worked on used to be rated as the worst smelling unit in the facility. When I came there, and I didn't know this until the housekeeper told me, our unit turned out to be in the best one because, baby, I was bringing in cleaning supplies. Now, that wouldn't fly in California. California ain't letting you bring nothing in. You can't even bring in a metal water bottle. You can't even bring in no bag. You got to leave your purse and everything outside in the trunk of your car. You can't bring in no bags. In the South, they'll let you bring it on in, baby. But I had cleaning supplies. I had disinfectant spray. I had a big old jug of Odo Band. I would come get those wash rags and spray down the tables. I'm cleaning everything. I like it clean. And let's empty these trash cans before they get too full. Because all you're doing is sitting down. Baby, I've seen young folks sitting at the job when they supposed to be keeping their eye on the patients. Some of them asleep. I saw one of the employees asleep. Now, this is broad daylight. This is day shift. So in my mind, I'm thinking maybe the employee worked last night. And so, they have two jobs. That's what I'm thinking because you're underpaid here in the South. So I'm thinking, I say, excuse me. I said, did you work last night? He said, no. I said, oh, you're not feeling well? He said, yeah, I feel fine. I said, well, why are you sleep? What kind of dope? He said, because I'm just tired. I said, what kind of dope are you on? I'm thinking that to myself. Like, I ain't said it out loud, but I'm thinking to myself, like, what kind of dope are you on? You're too young. Then I had another, yes. So then I had another, tech that told me because, she told me something and I said, look, all I just asked is a question. I said, I help you guys a lot. I said, I do stuff that I'm not even supposed to do. That's not required of the charge nurse. I'm trying to lead by example. and I like a clean unit. She said, well, if you want a clean unit, this ain't the place you want to be because the whole place is nasty. I said, well, that's your mindset if that's what you want to be in, but I don't want to be in no filth. And I said, and it brings down your morale. People don't want to live in filth like they're animals or dogs and smell that stench. So anyway, I said, that's why I get up and clean. She said, well, you do it. You do too much. You don't even sit down and take a break. I said, yes, I do when the work is done. Do your work first, then you can sit down. But don't sit down and talk and you need to know what's going on and your job's not done. That's how people get assaulted. That's how items are getting stolen. Nobody's doing their rounds and nobody's checking. Everybody's sitting up in one area, gossiping and lollygagging. All of them patients know charge nurse, get on the floor. That's what they call me. Charge nurse. Charge nurse. When I hit the floor, I get off the elevator. Before I step off the elevator, I peek my head out the elevator. I look side to side to see who where. And I say, good morning, Mr. Sunday. Good morning, Mr. Monday. Good morning. I greet everyone. And hello. I mean, it makes a person feel good, recognize that, hey, she know my name. She sees me. I'm a person. Now they know I'm strict too. They know I'm not bending no rules and I'm not breaking no rules. You're going to follow the rules. They know my favorite saying is violation, familiarity, boundaries, boundaries. And so I even had one patient said, charge nurse, why you always think the worst of me? I'm not going to do nothing to you. I said, baby, I don't trust nobody. If Jesus was walking up here on this unit, he'd catch a fade if he got too close. Now, boundaries, familiarity, back it on up. So anyway, so I like the unit clean. I like for everybody to do your job. Sit down. She told me I do too much. This ain't the place you need to be. I said I go out of my way to help y'all. I do stuff I'm not supposed to. She said, what do you do for me? And when I start calling off everything that I do, she said, well, that's because you want to do it. Ain't nobody asked you to do it. Ain't that something? Ain't that something? I see a question down here. Why did they lie? Pepper. I didn't talk so much. Why did who lie? Are you talking about the patient's husband? All right, y'all see what Sugar Brown said. Sugar Brown 37 said hit that like or dislike button as your admission because there's no charge to the live. Thank you, Sugar Brown. Hey, T. Jones, you called. Yes, y'all know. Honey, I got real life going on. I may schedule a live, unschedule it. I got to work on getting better. I got to try to find a day. But we were talking. So, anyway, I'm out here now. I'm out here now. Uh, Yes, Can's big sis. Yes, that's what I told my daughter. I have a daughter that's a speech therapist. When she first went off to college, she wanted to be a pediatric registered nurse because my son had open heart surgery at the age of 5 weeks old. At 5 weeks old, he had open heart surgery. When my son was born, I didn't find out that he had Down syndrome until after he was born, and I didn't know that until after 5 days. His primary pediatrician hadn't come to the hospital to see him, so if there were like partners in the practice that were coming to visit my son in the hospital each day. So each day they would come and say he's healthy, he's strong, he looks beautiful. Well, on the fifth day, that's when his pediatrician came, and his pediatrician said, "I'm inclined to agree with my colleagues that he has Down syndrome. My son looks exactly like his father, exactly like his father." Yes, you better say it again, Pepper. Say it again. Okay, Miss Elizabeth, they got LPNs in New York too. Okay, thank you. Hey, Pepper, you in the South. What's up, Southern lady? There's some good people in the South and some bad people. But the good thing I like seeing so many black people, but what I don't like seeing is so many black people being mean to other black people. I don't understand it. That's why I say it's like a modernized plantation. I don't get it. So anyway, what's a lot of nurses in the chat? What's up, nursing field? What's up? It is a lot of healthcare providers. Do I have any CNAs, any home health aides, any respiratory therapists, whatever you are? Thank you for your service. Thank you, because honey, I love when I got me a CNA that know what he or she is supposed to do. They come on in, they ain't taking no foolishness. So, what you say, Miss Locke? I understand what you did was loving. A lot of black women don't have emotionally mature men who value their children to co-parent in true love for their children. And you're right. I understand that too. I agree. I agree. I definitely agree. Yes, ma'am. That's right. And the caregivers too. That's right, Miss Elizabeth. Shout it out. Shout out to all you caring, beautiful caregivers across this world. Yes, even the family. Miss Elizabeth, if you don't mind me saying this little bit, you know, uh, you have a heavy, heavy load that you're doing, and taking care of someone at home, it's totally different than being in a facility. So yes, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am. I told y'all I done went on a tangent, then forgot what I was saying. I was talking about the employees. Well, honey, let me see. If somebody remember where I stopped at, give me a heads up. Why did home office lie? Oh no, corporate. You talking about corporate office lie? They didn't lie, or are you talking about the jail where the lady lied on me? The other nurse and the union didn't take care of me. Cause corporate so just put it in there. I'll try to look for it. God dog it. I'm Southern. Hey Tanya, what's up in the South? What you mean just a plain teacher? Uh-uh. We love teachers, Tanya. We love teachers because baby, especially a good teacher that loves what they do. I love giving stuff. Like I'll ask my son's teacher, like, is there anything that they need? Like if there's cleaning supplies, is there bottled water that they need? Are there snacks that they need for the classroom? Anything that she needs, let me know, and I'll make sure that they have it for the classroom. Because it's a thankless job, it's a hard job. They put too many kids up in your classroom with not enough resources. um they're doing everybody at work. If you sit back, no matter what type of job that you do, your employer wants you to do the most for the least, and there's no support. A lot of these corporations and these owners, they need to realize a happy employee is a loyal employee. Let me say that one more time. And happy employee is a loyal employee. They will be dedicated, they will pick up shifts when you're short. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. They will. They will. It sure does. And especially if there's anybody teaching special education teachers, they don't give you the resources that you need. They don't have help. They don't have adequate equipment. All this money coming to these states, but they don't allocate the money appropriately. They don't. They don't. Not at all. So, to parents, if you have young children, adult children, because we know that sometimes there can be uh, confusion, conflict, different parenting styles, because I'm Generation X. Our generation and the generations before us, like the baby boomers, the silent generation, we weren't allowed to talk back. You don't say nothing, you shut up, you keep your mouth shut. Don't say nothing. I raised my children the same way. Say yes, ma'am, no, sir. I raised them that way. And then you combine that with my trauma, how I was overprotective of them, always keeping them to me and not letting them out. It can impact your children. It can make them afraid to confide in. But what I want to tell you, if your child tells you that you've done something to them, even if you know or you believe that you have not, just apologize. I know there are so many parents that maybe in their past they have a history of addiction, but they are now clean. And they may not have made the best choices as they were raising their children during their time of addiction, but now they're clean. Please apologize. Please acknowledge and recognize the hurt and pain that you may have caused because they want to be acknowledged. They want to be seen, and just tell them, I'm sorry. It was an illness. I didn't know any better. And I'm sharing that with you because I've never had an addiction. I've never done any drugs. I've never done, any alcohol except one time when I went to a party with my older cousins. Um, but because of my upbringing, I was overprotective and just strict. Everything had to be clean a perfect way. You had to get an A, strict, where it frightened them. So as they became adults, I've learned new parenting ways. I've learned that, my children may be afraid to confide in me because they may feel as if uh, they may disappoint me or feel afraid of telling me anything. So now they share more things with me, but I apologized and told them I raised you all the way that I was raised, and I always didn't have the best role models. So please forgive me, and I'm sorry. And it seemed like my one child, and look at God. God put that thought up in my head to help me get right back on track. She opens up more to me now. I acknowledge her, and she's the young one that's the speech therapist. So that helped me get right back on track. So anyway, my son, I kept telling his pediatrician when every time he coughs, it sounds like Strider. Because every time my son would drink a bottle, it would sound like Strider. He had that ever since he was in the hospital. That's right. You tell her grandma. You let her know. That's right. So then, so then, I kept telling him that. Then he tried to explain that. I said it sounds like Strider. And for those of you that are not in the medical field, Strider is like it deals with the respiratory system. It's like a restriction. It's like the air is trying to get out, and it's high pitch, almost sound like a crow. It's high pitch, so air is not getting through. It's being cut off. And I told, and that's the sound that my son would make, is dealing with the lungs. That's the sound my son would make every time he would cough. So his pediatrician tried to explain it away that because my son has Down syndrome, the laryngeal rings were softened, and there's a large volume of air pushing through, and that's what's making that noise. Small and softened. That's what he explained to me. So anyway, um, we ended up having to stay longer in the hospital because one, uh, I, oh, with me, I had to threaten to sue because I was on the verge of having a stroke and I'm having symptoms. So the only time they came in to help is when I yelled real loud and started cursing and said, if I have a stroke, I'm suing every mother body up in here. Doctors, nurses, everybody. Only then did somebody come because I kept telling them when the lady came and checked my vital signs. But let me get back on track. So fast forward, they found a hole in my son's heart while we were still in the hospital. They did the echo. They said they'll repeat it because they said the hole should close. So 2 weeks go by. Before the 2 weeks is up, I get a call from a cardiologist telling me they wanted to schedule a meeting so we can have discuss the treatment plan. So I tell his father, I said something's wrong with the baby. He said, no, the doctor said everything is fine. I said, no, something's wrong with the baby because anytime a doctor is discussing a treatment plan, they discover a problem. And now we have to discuss what are the options for treatment. So they wanted to know what day could we come in. Um, I tell them, um, oh, I tell them, just give me a date. They give me a date. And so I'll just make up a date. I will say it was supposed to be on, what's today? I'll say March 18th. So anyway, we go see his pediatrician. I tell him, we go ahead and we wait. I get a call right before we're supposed to go see the cardiologist. Uh, I get a call that the cardiologist is canceling the appointment. They have to reschedule because the cardiologist is teaching students that day. Now I'm upset because y'all keep in mind, we don't find out our son um has Down syndrome until 5 days after he was brought into this world because he looks just like his father. Um, they ended up doing a blood test so they could do genetic testing because his pediatrician had explained that some children may have features and they don't. And then you have mosaic Down syndrome where people the children don't have features at all, but when you do the genetic testing, they do have Down syndrome. So anyway, keep that in mind. We're learning that. Now he has a hole in his heart. Now we're going to see a cardiologist to discuss a treatment plan. Now the cardiologist has canceled the appointment. So now, the day before the appointment, we were supposed to have an appointment with the cardiologist. I had fed my son. It was early in the morning. It was in the morning. I fed my son, and the light, I just had the bedside lamp on. Then all of a sudden, I could hear him like gasping for air, like choking a little bit. So I'm turning him backwards and forwards, tapping on his back, backwards and forwards, tapping on his back. And I'm not stressed. His father jumps up out the bed, like, "What's going on? What's happening?" So I'm just patting him back and forth. I tell him, "Turn on the bedroom light. I need to see his color because the lamp is not enough light, although my son is a lighter shade. I need to see his color." So I'm turning him back and forth, and I'm not concerned yet until I turned him on his back and I took my two fingers and pulled down his gown, and I could see that he was starting to have sternal retractions. To those in the medical field, you know that's serious. Children and seniors, they go downhill fast. Luckily, we lived near a hospital. I don't all I remember, I don't even remember buckling my son in. I don't even I all I know, hell, I left his father in the house and his father had to chase me in the other vehicle to the ER. All I remember is when I saw the sternal retraction, baby, I jumped up, jumped in that vehicle, put my son in. I don't remember strapping him in, sped to the ER, got to the ER, and then it was like giving a nursing report. I wasn't hysterical. I said, "Hi." I said, "I just gave birth, da 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 day. He's 4 weeks old. He was diagnosed with Down syndrome." I said, they discovered a hole in his heart. They're supposed to do a repeat echo. I said, "He's having trouble breathing right now, and he's having sternal retraction." Soon as I got sternal retraction, they whisked us to the back. They went ahead, took care of him, got him stabilized. Then he was rushed over to the hospital. Once they got there, they redid the echo. They redid the echocardiogram. They found, you guys, this is what they found. They found that my son not only had a hole in his heart, but his left pulmonary artery was encircling his trachea and his esophagus. So each time his heart would pump, it was squeezing his trachea and his esophagus. So that's where the stridor was coming from, as I kept saying. So anyway, they said they were going to fly him down to the hospital. He would have to have emergency surgery. So my son ended up having open heart surgery at 5 weeks old. From that, his sister had determined that she wanted to be a pediatric registered nurse. So while she was in school, I told her, I gave her advice after her first year. I stopped being so hard on her about grades. And I told her, choose a career that she loves. Don't do what she thinks I want her to do. Do choose something that she loves to do, because that way, if you choose something that you love, it won't feel like a job. Well, baby, she was taking a psychology class as a prerequisite, just, and while she was in there, she enjoyed it and she enjoyed the class. So then she said, Mom, I'm changing my major. I want to be a child psychiatrist. I said, well, that's good. I said, good. That's good, because you know what? You'll be able to help a lot of kids and young adults, because you can share your experience of growing up being raised by a mother that suffers from depression and PTSD, and what your childhood was like and how you were able to make it through. So you can share your story with others. You can help them. Well, then I had stopped looking at her grades. I didn't ask her. I didn't want to see anything, because in my mind, I said, as long as she graduate, I won't put that pressure on her. The second semester, she met a young lady in one of the psychology classes. Was it psychology class or was child development? It might have been psychology. Whatever class it was, this young lady, she also had a sibling that had special needs. So then they began talking. So now my daughter, she said, Mom, I want to be a speech therapist, because I want to work in school districts so I can help people, kids like my brother. She said, because people that have money, they can afford to get their children to help their need, but people that don't have money, they don't have access to those resources. And I said, okay. So my daughter loves being a speech language pathologist. She graduated last year with her master's degree, and I'm so proud of her. So proud of her. My other daughter, she does not want to go to college, and I told her that's fine, because college isn't for everybody. I had learned that a long time ago. But my other daughter is a CNA. She loves being a CNA, and she's so empathetic. I said, boy, I was hard on my girls, but they pick up some qualities from me, because the daughter that's the CNA, nurses depend on her. She's one of those CNAs, good assessment. She'll go buy food for the patients. She going to get pads. Like, she'll come over and she said, Mommy, do you have any of those extra bed pads? And I said, yeah, I need to take a couple. Well, why do you need to take a couple? She said, because the company I'm working for, they don't have any. I said, they don't have any. She said, no, and I need it for my patients. So she loves what she does. She doesn't like to see the patients mistreated. So unbeknownst to me, she didn't share this with me, because she's still a little resistant, but I'm not, I don't say anything. I give her her space, but I just call her and just, I love you. How are you doing? I'm fine. Are you okay? Yes, ma'am. Do you need anything? No, ma'am. And she'll say, what's wrong, Mommy? What do you want? I said, nothing. I just wanted to make sure you're okay and tell you I love you. And she'll say, yes, ma'am, I love you too. So I say all of that to say this. If you have adult children and you're having problems with them, please don't give up. Please don't. Because when we turn our eyes away from our children, the world is waiting to swallow them up and devour them and discard them like they're trash. There are people out here taking advantage of young boys, young men, just like they do the young girls. So don't give up. They'll get it right eventually. Just give them their space, but just call them, check on them. Just check on them. And finally, if you know someone or you have a family member that's incarcerated, whether it's in jail, prison, or in a juvenile facility, please check on them. Please, just to make sure they're okay. Um, just even if you have to write them a letter, if you have the ability to visit them. You just want to keep an eye on your loved one and keep contact with them, because a lot of these people, everybody that's in prisons and jail, they're not corrupt, and they have a heart and they're kind and they care about the patients. But you have some people that feel like, well, I'm not making any money anyway. They're nothing but criminals. I don't care. I mean, people that work with me and the officers that work with me, they know that they can't mistreat them in my presence, because, honey, y'all have to go. I'll put it on my community wall, whatever video it was, but honey, shoot. I got the yelling out abuse and assault, and I'm not going to jail for nobody. Let one of my patients tell the story, because honey, I had blacked out. I told him I ain't lying for nobody. That's abuse and assault. And the patient said, "Charge nurse, you love us, don't you?" I said, "No, I don't love you. I mean, I care for you, you're humans." But I said, "But uh-uh." That's why I tell people I don't look into people backgrounds, even whether it's in the hospital or even when I work in prisons and jails. I have the ability to look it up. I don't want to look it up. I don't want to see what your charges are, because I don't want to judge you. I know that you are convicted of a felony. I know what type of population I work in. I don't get too close. I'll talk, be respectful, but I set boundaries and I pay attention to my surrounding, employees included. So if you have someone in any of those type of facilities, please communicate, keep in touch. If you are someone that works in a jail, prison, nursing home, hell, even a hospital, please, please be kind. And I know oftentimes people like to say, well, treat people like you would your loved one. I used to say that too. But sometimes if you look at some of the families, shoot, folks treat strangers better than they do their own family, okay? Okay. Oh, BK Lakeisha, yes. With my son, yes, ma'am. He was silently aspirating. So what happened was, I'll tell, and this is how they really found out, because they had to do a swallow study. What happened is he was flown down to the university, because that was the only place that they could do his surgery. And so I was there all the time. His father and I would be there, and then his father. Well, anyway, so the one day I had to leave to come back into town to get my 6 week checkup. Um, his father was staying there with him, and I told him, don't leave, make sure you stay there. So I ended up having to stay in town overnight one night. Well, when I came back, he called me and told me. So I jumped up after my appointment and head down. He told me that they transferred our son to PICU. He was in PICU, pediatric intensive care unit, because he had went into respiratory distress. So what had happened all that time, and this is something I didn't share with you all, when my son would eat, every time he would eat, he would pass out as if he went to sleep. And we would make little jokes, and I said, just like a man, eat and go to sleep. Well, little did we know, yes, he was aspirating, but he was hypoxic. He wasn't oxygenated. So he happened to cold at the hospital. And so they transfer him to PICU. They stabilize him, and then that's what they found out. And so that's why I say, oh my God, my son, for 4 weeks, you might as well say 5 weeks. God had his hand on him for 5 weeks, because that's what was happening ever since he came into the world. And the only reason people weren't sued is because once my son was transferred down to the university, his pediatrician called me and apologized profusely. And in the tone of his voice, normally I love to see people in person, but he apologized profusely and said if there was anything at all that we needed to let him know. And it wasn't his fault. I mean, he could have done more to press the issue, but the person most at fault were the cardiologist that discovered that he had a hole in his heart, but you didn't notice. I started questioning because I worked on a PCU unit, and I worked on a step down unit, taking care of patients 48 hours after open heart surgery. You mean to tell me you didn't see on that echocardiogram that there was an abnormality? And so I'm thinking about that. So we would have had to sue the cardiologist. But not only that, I was privy, I was made aware that it was documented in my son's chart that the reason why they were scheduling him a repeat echocardiogram is because the original echocardiogram they did on him, the equipment they used was faulty. It wasn't working. So God held on to my son and worked it out for everybody. But had we sued the hospital and sued the cardiologist, we would have also had to sue the pediatrician. And because the pediatrician apologized, we did not sue. Never heard anything from the hospital. In fact, yeah, I'm going to just leave it like that. I'm going to just leave it like that. So I say that to say this. If you make a mistake in anything you do as a healthcare provider, own up to it. If your patient or their family member is asking you the same question 100 times over and over, even though you're stressed out, got too many patients, overworked, you got hang those IV bags or do your documentation, answer the question. And if you make an error or a mistake, admit it and apologize. So, hey, y'all, we've been on here long enough. I will go down the line to see. And Elizabeth, Miss Elizabeth, you said northern states rank the highest in pay, yet they get paid enough. Y'all don't, because the cost of living is higher. Oh, BK Lakeisha, as far as the silent aspirating, they had ran a battery of tests on my son, and they did the swallow evaluation, and yes, they found out he was aspirating. He was a silent aspirator. Wait a minute, child. Let me tell y'all what they did. So then they put an NG tube in my son, and wanted to test him for Hirschsprung's disease. And I said he had no problem having a bowel movement until he came here. I said he does not have Hirschsprung disease. I said his bowel movements would be explosive, but he never had any problem. I said I believe because you guys um you gave him that barium. I said, he's probably impacted. I said, because you have him on an NG2, there's really not enough fluids going in, no food to push it out. I said, if adults get constipated from the barium swallow, what do you think will happen to kids? So sure enough, when they checked, that's what the problem was. Then they wanted to put a G tube, a gastric feeding tube in his stomach. Mind you, he had never had trouble with eating, but yes, now he has the diagnosis of being a silent aspirator. And to those that are not in the medical field, that's when people, when you're eating or swallowing your food or liquids, they will go down into your lungs. Because hold on just a second, you guys, hold on. Anyway, yes, they diagnosed him with that, but then they wanted to put the feeding tube, the gastric feeding tube in him, and they talked his father while I wasn't in the room. So when I came back, he said, yes, the doctor, they're going to put a feeding tube in him. I said, a feeding tube in who? He said, into our son. I said, no, they not. He said, well, the doctor said, baby, I got so mad. I said, I don't care what the doctor said. I said, at the end of the day, this is a teaching university. I said, he has not had any problems eating. I said, look, you grew up in the church and you were raised in a two-family home. And I said, you trust in man more than you trust in God. I said, they might have a talent, but they get their talent because of God. Put your faith in God. I said, I'm not agreeing and I'm not signing off on anybody putting a feeding tube in our son. I said, if you want to agree to it, you go ahead. But I tell you what, if they put a feeding in tube in him, me and you gonna have some problems. Cause ladies who are not here from the South, if you're from the West Coast, I don't know, or the East Coast, but honey, in the South, baby, uh, uh, they listen to the men first. They don't even come to the women. It's like your second nature. You got to get approval from the man that's up in the room. Like, hello, I'm the one push this baby out. I'm the one push this baby out. So anyway, um, he's fine now. He's healthy, but I know that there is a God. Thank you, Miss Pepper. Thank you. Yes, she loves being a speech therapist. In fact, she's petty like me. She's that nice petty too. She went to pick up some kids out of their class for therapy. She's very thorough in her job. And so the lady sent her an email. She contacted me the other day and she said, Mommy, the lady, look, let me tell you what she did. She tried to get me in trouble. Y'all, I'm gonna read y'all this text. I'm not gonna tell y'all the name to protect the innocent. I don't even know. She might have sent it to the other phone. She may have sent it to my other phone, but let me see if I can find it. Because, baby, I was laughing. I said, Baby, if this is not my child, who is? He said, Hi, Queen. Just wanted to let you know about the OT schedule for students so that if and when you rearrange your schedule, there will not be a conflict. Mondays from 10:30 to 11, John Sunday, Becky Reynolds, Kara Smith. Mondays 11 to 11:30, Push In, Candy Apple. Then Mondays 11:30 to 11:50, Push In, Sammy Davis. This has been the OT schedule from the beginning of the school year. I would like to request that you respect that. I appreciate your cooperation. Then she puts a smiley face. Baby, when I saw that text, I was like, oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. There go that microaggression. Hi, Michelle. Welcome, welcome. Yes. There go that microaggression. I said, oh, Lord. So anyway, my daughter's text. Let's see. Let me see. This is my daughter's text. Oh God. Hold on. Let me see. Okay, this is my daughter text. It says, Hi Patricia. Thank you for reaching out. When I went to retrieve my group at 11:15, I didn't see anyone working with Sammy Davis in his math class. Due to this, I assumed he was available for speech, but I apologize for the inconvenience. When I walked into Candy Apple's science class, she was sitting with an aide but looking at her Chromebook and wearing headphones. Again, pulling her for speech appeared to be great at that time, but I apologize for being informed. I appreciate you sending the OT schedule and will keep it in mind moving forward. Have a great weekend with the exclamation point. So, baby, when my daughter sent me that, I was cracking up. I said, "Yes, baby, that's my daughter. That's my daughter. Get them together with that nice nasty, honey, baby. These, what is it, Generation Z? They are not playing. They are on the elder's neck, baby. They are on the elder's neck. All right, y'all. I've kept you long enough. You guys have hung with me for 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 36 minutes, and I will private this so I can edit the video. Ooh, Lord, hopefully I don't fall asleep. But I want to thank each and every one of you that came today to listen while I shared my stories. Dear Melody Shari Rodgers, a queen stands alone, cowards running packs, beefing for dollars. I caught that subliminal. I caught that subliminal. But hey, it's all peace. Uh, I don't wish any ill will on anyone. We are supposed to be here to entertain so people can laugh and have fun. And it's okay to argue back and forth, but nothing malicious where it would hurt or damage anyone's livelihood or affect, affect their family or whatever. I don't know. I don't know. We can't take everybody with us. We can't take everybody with us because some folks just ain't gonna act right. Okay? They just ain't gonna act right. Can't exist. But I tell you what, y'all. Let me change my little thing up over here so I can give my closing remarks, okay? Okay. I'm misbehaving. And the name of this channel is Misbehaving is Fun, where I talk about real people, real problems, and real drama. And hey, even celebrities are real people. If you find yourself getting mad at anything that I have to say, baby, chances are the devil is you. We've been on here too long, right? Be safe in them YouTube streets. Try to catch a couple of lives. I believe Real Talk with Lady D is live. She was supposed to be speaking about Mr. Silas White, an African American gentleman. Um, who had his building taken that he was going to open up as a beach club for African Americans, taken by the city of Santa Monica by eminent domain. And then a year later, he died. And I had reached out to my godmother to find out has she heard anything or was she aware of that, because this wasn't not that long ago, 1964. 1960, let's see, 1957. He bought the land. He died a year. Well, go over to Real Talk with Lady D, you guys. Real Talk with Lady D's. And let me just give this advice. No matter who you support, whether you're with the Melometers, T Squad, or whoever you with, whoever you with, whoever video you watch, just hit the like button or dislike. Get those content creators in the algorithm. There's enough for everybody. There's enough for everybody. Because, honey, ain't nobody mad but the devil. And if you're mad at something misbehaving said, chances are the devil is you. All right? Like, share, subscribe. Leave a comment. We can banter back and forth, but let me go. It's 6:12. I gotta cook for these kids and call my son-in-law and tell him come pick up my grandbaby, because I got to be at work in the morning. Oh, I got one comment. Somebody came in at the last minute. Get down, go ahead, get down. Mel. Well, I'll highlight that. I'll highlight that. Absolutely. I'll highlight. Look, go ahead. You gonna give them a shout out. You sure that ain't Melody hiding behind that Miss Lock or Miss Van or Lauren. You sure friends don't allow friends to get online. Look, Look, we can be, baby. Look, cause I'm all for it, honey. I'm all for it. If y'all got something negative to say, y'all hit that cash up. At the start of my live, I had a total subscriber count of 1,225 subscribers. These were authentic and generic. Thank you, each and every one. Whether I got one person in the chat or 1,000, 10,000, or a million, everybody is special. Everybody is important, and everybody is appreciated. You could have chosen to be anywhere else except for me, but you chose to come here and you came to hang with me. And baby, let me go, because we on the East Coast. We ain't up on Cali time. We ain't on the West Coast, because some of us over the age of 50, baby, we get to winding down. And at 9 o'clock, we either preparing to go to sleep or we're already asleep. Y'all have a beautiful rest of your day. Enjoy your weekend, okay? Enjoy your weekend and thank them. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Look. Today's price ain't yesterday's price. And guess what? I am beefing for dollars. I'm beefing for dollars. Okay? Okay. Good night, everybody. Good night.